That's an old episode though.
All right, hey, listen, today I'm going to be going over the Civil War, right? So what we studied last week was like the build up to the Civil War, okay? And certain things that caused it, right? What was the biggest cause of the Civil War? Slavery, okay? I wrote some other things on the board that are causes. Most has to do with slavery, okay? But keep in mind that, well, I asked you a question. How did a lot of people in the South own slaves, or did very few own slaves? So less than 10% own slaves. All right. So if I'm a Southern white guy who doesn't not own slaves, what would compel me to rebel against the Northern states, the Union? All right. So think about that as we go over all this. Right? So later I'm going to have you guys create a timeline of certain battles. We're not going to look particularly at like a lot of military aspects of it. I mean, there will be some, particular like a big battle at Gettysburg and a few other ones. But we'll look at how the war changed the nation. Okay. First thing is a battle. All right. At Fort Sumter. I think I asked y'all that the other day. Who's been to Fort Sumter? Just you? Or did your brother come?
No.
Why only one of y'all?
Because I went across until the top.
Alright. Hey, so at Fort Sumter, basically what it was it's a fort in Charleston Harbor, Charleston, South Carolina, and the Union occupied the fort. Well, Confederate side, they go up there, they pull their cannons up, and they start shooting at the fort. So, who fired the first shot? The Confederates fired the first shot. Okay, that's why it's a lot of times referred to as the War of Southern Aggression. Okay? Because the South was the ones that rebelled, and then they were the ones that fired the first shot. I put some causes on the board. We're going to just go over them together. I made my first period, like, write them out. But you guys, your honors, right? So we should be able to talk and discuss this. So sectionalism. What is sectionalism? Not sexualism. Sectionalism. Alright, sectionalism, is it just based off ideas, or is there a geographic aspect to it as well? In the Civil War, was there a geographic aspect to it?
Yeah.
Okay. North and south, right? What about economically? We've been over this. The southern side was based off what? It's an agrarian society, okay? So, did the southern side produce a lot of manufactured goods? No. That's going to become key because the northern side, you guys listening?
Yeah.
Alright, I hope you're discussing what I'm discussing.
No, it's not strict cash. No, that's what somebody's buying the Panthers, where they 2.2 billion straight cash.
Pretty good. Hey, anyways.
They say cash, yeah.
They're paying cash, 2.2 billion.
That's what it said on ESPN.
Dude, the American pitch
That's a lot. Hey, but he's talking about money. Money's going to play a part. So which side, the north or the south, do you think have more money?
North.
The north, okay, because it's a manufacturing industrial society. You're producing in the north industrial goods, okay. Which side had a lot of raw materials? South, all right, particularly cotton. But when it comes to making war, all right, do you need more raw materials or the manufactured product? Which one do you shoot with? You shoot with a gun, okay? You can't grow a gun on a field. not gonna happen. So, the problem was for the southern states, we're gonna see is they didn't have these manufactured products, right? The northern states did, okay? They also had more money, right? Now, one of the sources of contention between them was tariffs were passed, all right? Before the war now, tariffs are being passed. If a tariff, first of all, what was a tariff, or what is a tariff? Tax on an imported good, all right? So, if this group, Parker's Table, is making a product, and the League's Table is making a product, but there's a tax on the League's product, where am I going to buy the product from? Parker's Table, okay? Because the tax, right? So the problem that the South had was that there was tax on imported goods, so now they had to buy the goods from the North, all right? The North could drive their prices up. So if the South, they're not making their own goods, they're having to buy them, but the taxes, the tariffs are driving the price up. All right. Now, here's the next cause kind of going to look at. Allegiance to the state or to the country, okay? I'll use this as an example. Most of you guys went to where? Probably, some of y'all probably went to West Pine, some of y'all went to Southern Middle, right? Think of it like this. So Pinecrest High School, all y'all go to Pinecrest High School now. Well, now all of a sudden, for those of us who live in Aberdeen or Southern Pines, they're building another high school where Southern Middle is going to feed into that high school. You guys, but you don't have to go there. Now, if you don't like Pinecrest, you can go there. Okay, it's kind of your choice. Would you guys stay at Pinecrest, or would you go to this new high school?
Please stay here.
You guys would stay here? My other class, well, y'all would probably stay here because I'm your teacher, right?
Yeah.
I go wherever the big guy goes. I would. Hey, but anyways, my other class said, hey, they wanted to leave. A lot of them didn't like it. Or they just said they would leave because the school was being built in Aberdeen where they were from. Alright? That's kind of the idea behind this whole Confederate States, right? That I'm going to go wherever my state goes, okay? I'm not necessarily, I don't have allegiance to the country, I have a bigger allegiance to the state. We're going to see two guys in particular. One, Robert E. Lee. Who was Robert E. Lee?
The leader of the Confederate military.
So he was a general of the Confederate side, Confederate military. One thing he says is they offered him command of the Union Army, okay? They offered him command of the United States Army. Well, he turned it down, okay? He says, the reason he turned it down, his rationale is, he says, I'm going to go whichever way Virginia goes. Well, did Virginia fight on the north or the south? The south. So he says, well, where Virginia goes, that's where I'm going to go. Virginia fought with the south. That's where he went. Jefferson Davis. Who is Jefferson Davis?
What's your PD?
Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate States. He said the same thing. He's from Mississippi. He was a senator in the United States Congress when the southern states, some of them started to leave. He said, I'm not really against the United States. I just have more allegiance to my home state of Mississippi. I'm going to go wherever they go. That's what he did, and he became the president of the Confederate States. Anyways, back to the beginning of the war, all right? So, Fort Sumter, you guys still talking about, did they officially sell the Panthers?
No, I was doing it today. That's not what I was talking about.
Yeah. Hey, well, before we get into this, so allegiance to the state or the country. Now, both of them are kind of fighting over the same thing, right? They're fighting about the U.S. Constitution. Because the Constitution, it provides for federal powers and state powers as well, right? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Provides for both, okay? The southern states believe more in the federal or the state power.
What side?
The southern side.
State.
They believe more in the state's power, okay? That it's an individual state's right to have slavery if they want to. Is that what we're looking up on? It's an individual state's right to have slavery if they want to, okay? Whereas the federal government tried to say that it's on us, or it's the federal government's, they have jurisdiction over everything, okay? Who watches, some of you guys watch ESPN? Some of y'all watch it in class, right? Some of y'all watch basketball videos in class. Yesterday, what happened on ESPN involving legalized gambling? Anybody see that?
Yeah, it got legalized.
So they allowed gambling to be legalized. I think actually Matthew Bryce said something to me about it in class yesterday. They legalized gambling on sports, okay? The federal government or U.S. Supreme Court did, right? Now it becomes an issue at the state level, right? So that's kind of going back to this, the principle of federalism, right? You guys are going to be tested on federalism. The difference in a federal power or state power, all right? Going back to Fort Sumter, all right? So Fort Sumter is where the first clash happens, all right? The Confederate states, they fired on the Union states, Union Army. The Union Army had this thing called the Anaconda Plan, all right? What's one contingent, one part of the Anaconda Plan?
Still around the Cape of Florida and attack from the west.
All right, well, it's not really that. Naval blockade, okay. Southern states. Which side has more coastline, the north or the south? South. Okay. 'Cause you not only have the East Coast, but you also have the Gulf of Mexico right here. Southern states have more coastline. That's where the southern states, they had to get their manufactured products from those port cities, those port towns, all right? Because they couldn't make them like North could. So the North, their strategy was, we're going to blockade their whole coastline. That way they can't import all these things they need, right? Because remember, I said when you make war, you need things, right? You need ammunition, you need weapons, you need men, okay? You need uniforms, you need food, right? All that stuff you need, and the southern side couldn't manufacture it. So they were having to import it in a lot of cases. Well, the northern side said, we'll cut off their ports so they won't be able to import it. What's the other part of the North Anaconda Plan?
Come down the Mississippi.
All right, so come down the Mississippi River. What is unique about the Mississippi River? One, it's kind of like me. It's a big deal. It's a big river. Okay, all right, but it's split by they can split the Confederacy. The Mississippi River, all right? So another way the Confederacy used to travel things, all right? They used to transport their troops, transport goods, Mississippi River. And then the last one, what's the last thing? The last part of the Anaconda Plan. I know you guys can read the slide. All right, capture. Why was Richmond important?
The capital.
Capital of the South. All right, so if you capture the capital, then you can kind of cut the head off of the snake. All right, that's the idea. All right, this is what I want y'all to do now. So I want each person to, and this is what I'm going to do. So I'm only going to collect one sheet from each table. But I want each person to do it. So you don't know whose sheet I'm going to collect. So you're all getting a grade from the sheet that I collect. You all need to be doing it because, say, someone doesn't do it and I choose their paper to collect, then you're all going to get 0. All right. Remember, it's the dirtiest part of the game, right? All right. Look, so if you go here to slide 7. You click on it. It's like, it's this worksheet here. First,
No, that was literally said everybody.
you don't need to do part A, okay?
Look.
Listen, you guys, you listen to me. Part B you need to do though, okay? Use 338 through 341 in the textbook. You're gonna have to use that. Some of it you're gonna have to read through, okay? Because it's gonna go over, there was a certain state that was formed at the onset of the Civil War. And it was formed because they didn't want to become part of the Confederacy. Alright, so you're gonna have to read through it and figure that stuff out.
That is true.
Hey, look, from now on, I don't, if you miss a test, I don't want you doing the test outside of class, making it up outside of class. I want you to do it during class, okay? Because otherwise, how am I supposed to know that you're not using like a book or something to look up the answers? Although it'll be hard to look up the answers because a lot of them are document-based questions, but still, I want you to wait till you come to class, kind of like Michael did today, and they'll give you time during class to make it up.
Where's Michael at?
338 through 341. They'll give you the math.
Oh, yeah, that's that.
So, it's looking pretty nice. It's pretty long, though. I've been reading down here for a minute. He's trying to catch it right now. He's been casting for 2 hours. And looking some bait about like.
Where is it? It's in the science, right?
He's
He hasn't caught it for some but like didn't get it all the way in. So they know about. They're talking about they caught like 10 pounders, 15 pounders out here, like on 7. Why'd you get on board? I don't understand. Like, if you see someone powering up like that, like you got that little kid. He said they put 30,000 pounds of trout in there. So I'm pretty sure that freezing the bass something good.
Mr. Robinson.
Oh, hey, you guys don't gotta do part A, you don't have to draw the map.
No.
Unless you want to.
Basically, we're going.
You don't have to.
He said he might go find a Polish thing there tomorrow.
Oh, he called his buddy because he couldn't catch him. His buddy's gonna catch him, man. He called his buddy.
Why did he call his buddy?
Yeah. Bad. I would guess I was whole combo too. If I said like 20 pounds or something below me and I didn't catch it.
Why did you change up your time? Because I do. You see how fast that guy is. That's the third time I changed it.
I
can't do it all the time.
I did everything.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the offer him $1,000.
I played a one-on-one.
His buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, you guys need your textbooks.
I mean, anyone knows that.
Kind of favorite.
I'm like, yeah, I know. I message you every day.
Got paid.
Nobody
Right now, it's like weird.
What is nobody pay?
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go from
I was broken out between the trigonometry.
$7,000 bill says you don't have to run
That's the stuff with the triangle and the cosine.
Yes, that's so hard.
Right, you gotta help us out.
Maybe you should go get